we've talked about Star Wars a little bit and how we're all big fans of Disney Star Wars. Obviously, is everyone here a big fan of James Gunn's DCU?
No.
Okay, so this one
that's actually a fair question because you never know. There are people who are fans of it.
Well, to be fair, I did like the Superman, and I know everybody in chat's going to be like, Aaron has no taste, but there were things about it I did like. But James Gunn is driving me freaking crazy right now. He needs to just stop. He needs a Xanax. He needs to lie down. You know what I mean? Like, he needs to stop. Sorry,
he needs to stop with the James Gunnisms.
Yes.
I think it might be too late. It's a bit of a runaway train, isn't it?
It kind of seems like it might actually be too late for James Gunn and his entire DCU. So, as you've probably heard, Warner Brothers is now up for sale, basically, and it looks like it could get bought over. I think it's like Paramount and their parent corporation that are looking to buy it. Which
3 bids, yeah,
and so if that does happen, there is a fairly good chance that James Gunn could be out as head of DCU, and that they might just do another hard reset because the entire franchise hasn't exactly distinguished itself so far. And there's a pretty telling interview that James did just a few days ago where he talked about this. I'll bring it up here and see if we can play it.
So one thing I've been really curious about is you've referenced things like Peacemaker Season 2 and Lanterns setting up different threads and arcs. How far do these arcs go? Like, do they culminate in Man of Tomorrow, or can we expect them to go further than that?
Yes, they definitely go significantly further than Man of Tomorrow.
Okay.
So now, whether or not that'll be me that's able to fulfill that promise depends on a lot of things in life. But
that is a man who knows he's on borrowed time right there.
Yeah.
Look where you stopped to. Nice thing.
That enthusiastic confidence we've had from him for years now is evaporated. I wonder why. I wonder if it's to do with the success of the major projects. Ooh, could it be? Dude, this clip you've shown, by the way, I saw a quote tweet that had like a lot of likes on it saying, okay, let's look at this logically. He's fully aware that his contract expires in 2027. He signed a 5-year deal. So if he gets an extension, which I believe he will, because it's going to come on the heels of Supergirl's successful release, he'll be able to complete everything. And I was like, whoa, Supergirl's successful release. That film is doomed. Like,
that is the mother of all assumptions right there. Like, it's going to be successful.
A very foolish choice for him to make, to put that as the second major film in the DCU, right? Because it's just like you need money makers at lower risk to launch your universe, not fucking Supergirl.
Because they led with Creature Commandos, which no one gives a fuck about. Apparently, it was quite good, but like, it's not enough to draw an audience. Superman, pretty weak, and like the box office reflected that. Peacemaker Season 2, a holdover from really the DCEU and the later stages of that. People absolutely tuned out with Season 2, and the ratings apparently cratered. Then what have we got coming up? We've got Supergirl, no one's going to give a shit. Clayface, even fewer people are going to give a shit about that. If you were going to relaunch the DCU, you had to establish Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Those are your 3 main money makers. And you've got to get them off to a strong start. Then you do a team-up movie with those 3. But like, James Gunn can't do it because James Gunn wants to do James Gunn movies, because every movie that James Gunn makes has to be a fucking Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Mm-hmm. If I may, I think just the mistake from the get-go was making this a new universe. Nobody cares about multiverse stories anymore, and DC has always excelled, especially at the box office, with just singular stories, right? Like the Dark Knight trilogy, it's all just one hero, one contained universe. The Batman, it's one contained universe. You got lucky doing a side story on television with the Penguin, but moving forward, that should just be a contained story. Superman, none of this should have been a universe from the get-go. You can explore all of these characters completely separately. Like, the Disney model is proof of anything. Yes, the quality issue is a big thing still, but nobody's tuning into all of the shows. The Disney Plus subscription numbers show that. The audience turnout for some of these later films also prove that. These are all characters we don't care about. It's homework. It's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
it's kind of nuts that there's just this crazy assumption that build a universe like Marvel and you get Marvel numbers, and you're like, Marvel numbers? Have you seen Marvel numbers? Like, what do you mean? It's like, oh, okay, well, everyone just assumes this is true, and it's like the only successes we've seen outside of Marvel's heyday is the Monster Universe, which is batshit insane, and the continuity is just non-existent, and then I guess the Conjuring Universe, which is just the same horror movie 10 times.
Right.
It's the weird thing, but they should have all the winning cards. Like DC, they have got arguably the most iconic superheroes. Marvel were able to build up their heroes into this big global brand, but like before the MCU, like the average person on the street had no fucking idea who Iron Man was,
right,
or Thor. Like
let alone Guardians of the Galaxy. Everybody,
never mind that, or Ant-Man, or like fucking Doctor Strange. Like none of them knew who that was. Like they probably knew who the Incredible Hulk was from the fucking old Lou Ferrigno TV shows, but like the DC has the recognizable superheroes, but it's like they've got all the best tools at their disposal, but they never found out the correct way to use them, and it was just fumble after fumble along the way.
I think they forgot how to focus in on the characters. Because they're so busy, they don't trust their writers. I think this is part of it. They don't trust the writers so much. They don't trust them to be able to tell the story about Superman or Batman, or like Vex was saying, like, just tell the story about the one character and focus on that story. Do the best you can. And if you want to expand later, expand later. Just focus in. And they just don't have that kind of attention span or something. I don't know what it is, honestly.
Their problem partly is that like they've got this weird mix of standalone universes and a big interconnected cinematic universe. So they've got, or at least at one point they had like their own Batman that was part of the DCEU, but they had a separate Batman continuity with Robert Pattinson movies. They had a Joker that was part of like the Suicide Squad, and he was going to be part of the DCEU, but they also had a separate Joker in the Joaquin Phoenix movies, who was also separate from the Batman movies that were going on. And so you had all of this stuff happening simultaneously, and it's like they couldn't really decide on an approach that worked for them, and it was just like anything. Just put out anything that seems like it's successful, that will make money. Like Marvel, as much as they became formulaic as fuck and like boring and like just a conveyor belt of sludge, they at least had one persistent universe that they stuck to.
By the way, I don't know how many of you know this, Batman turns up in Creature Commandos briefly. So the problem, like among all of the other fucking problems, is that according to James Gunn's continuity of the DCU, Batman exists. He's running around. He's doing things. It's like the more movies you create where he just doesn't get involved at all, the more wacky and nonsense this universe is, which is saying something considering Superman has already made it completely untenable as a universe, considering 300 years of super beings, by the way, guys. 300 years.
Yep. Batman.
Why the hell did you do that?
Batman should be your silver bullet. Like, he is by far the coolest hero. Like, his movies should be like making bank, especially if he's part of your extended universe. But like, Superman like arguably is a little bit restrictive in terms of how you use him, and he doesn't have the coolness factor of Batman. But like, James Gunn hasn't even like really fleshed out plans for how he's going to bring Batman in. And at this point, no one fucking cares anyway, because it's just going to be a goofy James Gunn version of Batman. Who wants that?
Nobody wants a goofy Batman.
I could just imagine him fighting people with a fucking like 1980s pop song playing in the background, and it's just going to be the saddest fucking thing ever. Because it's like all James Gunn can do.
I actually asked that on Real BBC, and Gary and Has went different directions with it. But do you think James Gunn is less suited to Superman or Batman?
Superman, way less suited. He writes anti-heroes well. He can't do a good guy like Superman well.
I agree. I think he's probably slightly better suited to Batman than Superman.
I think he is slightly better suited to Batman. At the same time, I think a lot of people pick Batman out of fear. They're like, oh God, what is he going to do to Batman? Because we've seen what he did to Superman now. It's just like clean and done. It's like, okay, that was that. But Batman could be so much worse. But it also,
I mean, hypothetically, I think he would gravitate more towards the anti-hero nature of Batman, but he couldn't do an authentic, like, grim, dark, serious Batman if he tried.
Right.
Like, it's just not in his nature. It would have to be self-deprecating. There would have to be goofy humor in there, and it would get James Gunnized into oblivion.
Yeah.
I think I would trust Zack Snyder to do a Batman movie over James Gunn, and I can't believe I'm fucking saying that.
Those would.
I honestly think I would.
Man, that's a thought.
Yeah, I know it's a thought, but like if you had to pick, honestly, like putting everything else aside, if you had to pick.
If I got Watchmen Zack Snyder making that, yes. If I got Rebel Moon Zack Snyder making it,
yeah. So Zack Snyder doesn't write it; he just directs it.
Yeah, okay. Who's writing it?
Well, I don't know.
Well, but because it
for Watchmen, like
would the James Gunn version have James Gunn writing it?
I don't think James Gunn would. I don't think James Gunn would direct something he didn't write.
Well, in that case, we got to make it fair, right? If it's because Zach, then
yeah.
I don't see why James Gunn can't just let himself be the boss and hire all the right people into the right roles to do the right stories and produce the right films in ways that will make him money. And, if he needs to put a little bit of his guidance and direction on the franchise or the direction, whatever, fine. But hire the people. That's what bosses are supposed to do. Hire the people to do the job and trust them to do it. Don't stir the,
He shouldn't be.
He's a de facto studio head at this point. Really. Because, he's not head of Warner Brothers, but, he's head of an entire universe of a cinematic universe of movies and TV shows and all that. And so he has to take on that role. And I don't see how that fits with what he's done up until this point. He's a singular project guy.
Yeah.
And we never got to see what he could do with Marvel, because he was going to be the guy who was kicking off the whole cosmic era of Marvel, wasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I think we can get a pretty good idea of how that would have gone, because he brought the same formula to the Suicide Squad. He brought the same formula to Creature Commander. He even brought the same formula to Superman. So he would have, and all three of the Guardians movies, as much as I do like the second one more than the other two, they're all just the same movie. So we weren't going to get anything new.
Drinker, because you were gone for a bit. Did you see the clip where he talks about directing his wife kissing other men?
I didn't see the clip. No, I him talking about it. I think I got it from her point of view, where she's like, "Yeah, I had to drink a couple of beers before I could kiss John Cena," and I just thought, "Oh yeah, one sympathizes."
We watched our BBC. It was funny as fuck. He's like awkwardly having to talk about how I felt a little bit uncomfortable filming all of that. When you just sit there you wrote it, you directed it,
you watched in the role
for it.
He's obviously weighing up those two problems, where it's giving your wife work versus having her kiss another man. What do you do?
I mean, does that even make it? He who cares about hardcore dating peacemaker? You know what I mean? He made that happen. He didn't have to make that happen.
I mean, the only person who even cares about hardcore at all is James Gunn. I feel like. Is there a big group of fans for hardcore? I don't really think so. She's not that interesting. Oh, not again!